All right, we're live.
Yes.
So I'll share the link to SpeedCubeShop chat. Get some viewers in here.
Okay.
Oh, that was me, by the way.
Huh? Oh yeah. Awesome. Okay, I got the link.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, got it.
Okay, nice. So
Yeah.
so far we have 14 viewers, 6 likes, 7 likes. We'll get
7.
started soon. In the meantime, I want all of you to go in the description and click the links to Anish's YouTube and Instagram and follow them there.
And okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm ready when you are.
All right. Do we read comments? Yes, we read comments, and we'll be answering questions as we go. Let's see if anyone else asked anything. Just to be true, I'm guessing that they want to say just to be honest. I'm a big fan of Anish Rajesh. Nice. Your fans are all in here.
Awesome. I'm gonna go through YouTube.
What is your PB?
In what? Which event?
It's ambiguous question, so I guess you can apply it to any event.
I mean for 3x3 I got a 4 some time ago.
Oh wow,
It's
okay.
pretty recent. Like I mean 4-second singles are really rare for me. So I mean the last time I got it was probably a month ago when I seriously started practicing. Otherwise I have got a 42 once in 5x5, which is
Oh
probably
wow,
the best solve. Yeah, it's a
that's
really
really
good
good.
solve. Yeah, that's my best solve ever. In 7x7 I got a 214 or 215. I'm not sure, but it was somewhere there. It was a low two. It was in the two. It was from 210 to 220 somewhere there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 19 viewers. I think that's good enough to start. So welcome everybody to the 6th episode of Team SCS Talks. Today the topic is big cubes, and we're here with Anish Rajesh. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm a cuber from Chennai, India. I've been cubing for roughly about 4 years, and it's been mostly upgrade from my improvement for the last 4 years.
Nice. And before we continue, I'd just like to say that we tried to do this stream yesterday, but due to some technical difficulties, it didn't work out. So we are doing it today. Second try. This is going to be great, guys. So I guess now I'd like to ask you how you started cubing and kind of your overall cubing story.
Yeah, so I actually told you this yesterday, but let me tell it to you again. My cubing story is something you would not want to do. I would advise none of you do this, but my cubing story started when I was in 6th grade. I actually stole one of my really good friend's cube. It was a 6x6. So the first cube I ever learned to solve was a 6x6, which I stole from my friend. I had it for about a week. I had come all the way to the edges. I had learned how to do the centers, and then I came to the edges. When I realized 6x6 is not what you should be starting out with. So I kind of had my guilty conscience, so I gave it back to him, and I got a 3x3. And from there, my interest in cubing has only it was only going, it has only increased since then.
Nice. So as I mentioned yesterday, but most people didn't really get to see that. That's probably one of the most like unique cubing stories I've heard. Most people just get a 3x3 and then learn how to solve it online. But you like stole a cube and then it was a 6x6 and somehow learned how to solve that for your first puzzle. So that's really impressive. And I think something I wanted to ask you is, do you think you would have been as interested in big cubes as you are now if you didn't start with a 6x6?
Probably because the concept of a big cube really amazes me. Because if you see a 3 by 3, all you have is a center to rely on. But then when you have big cubes, there's a lot to work on. And plus, at least for me, I find the concept of taking time and trying to solve such a big puzzle while trying to minimize your overall time is something which really interests me. So yeah, if I had started off with 3 by 3 also, I would have had I would have had a very good interest for big cubes.
All right, so just overall, you think big cubes are more fun because it's more of a challenge and there's just more to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, and someone in the chat asked, and that's basically what I was going to ask you after. So how did you go from like just learning to cube to starting to be a speed cuber and going to competitions? And how was it? How was your first competition?
Yes, this is actually, I would like to dedicate all the only reason I improved is because of two of the South Indian cubers, which is Bhargav Narasimhan. If you guys don't know him, he's a really fast OH cuber, and Kesava. Kesava is another cuber from Chennai. These are the two reasons why I actually started speed cubing. I started speed cubing because until then I was only solving for fun. But then the reason I got competitive about this is because in my first competition, which was CMI 2014, I had actually gone there with my father. It was not something I was really not expecting much of the competition. But then watching them solve actually gave me a lot of motivation because, for one, they had a really high TPS compared to what I had at that time, and two, it was amazing to see how they were able to. I really didn't know the concept of F2L or L by that time. It was just solving the cube layer by layer. So how they were able to make every layer at that time and then go towards the last layer and finish it in such a short amount of time was something which really motivated me to also try to get to the speed. Well, I hope I'm in the speed right now, but then I don't know. But I'm kind of happy with where I am right now. Right?
All right, that's cool. So in general, you're just like motivated by other fast cubers, and
yes,
that's what really showed you that there's more to it than just LBL and normal beginner solves, and that you can improve and go a long way.
Yeah, and even now they are my biggest inspirations to cube.
That's great. Yeah, and then so at your first comps, how were your results?
It was pathetic. It was extremely bad. I actually at home I used to. It was a long time ago, so I used to get like 40s to 50s at the time. And I went to the comp, and I actually froze. Like I didn't know what to do. I legit blacked out in my first competition. So it was like a 1 minute 30 or 1 minute 40 at that time. But I came back home. Yeah, it was a bittersweet moment because I came back home knowing there's much more to solving a cube than what I thought there was. And I'd also come and this was thanks to the faster cubers, and I'd also come back with bag results. So it was more of a good moment for me, though I screwed up the competition.
Yeah. Okay. So you think even if you had done well in that competition, it wouldn't made a difference in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And then moving on from there, how did you start? When did you start to realize that you're getting good at cubing and you can actually break records and do well at competitions?
This was also thanks to Bhargav because until then I was doing it as a hobby. I mean, not as a hobby, but I was pretty competitive. But I didn't really think I had a chance in a national level. But then it was Bhargav who said I had the potential. If I could calm myself a little bit at comps and start focusing a little bit more at certain events, I could get faster. So basically, he gave me most of the tips I needed to get where I am right now.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I've heard a lot of stories where more experienced cubers help, I guess, noobs like us learn how to compete and do better in competition.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty helpful because they speak from experience, so you get to know what they've been already through.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And then once you started competing better, what would you say was your greatest achievement or the moment where you felt the happiest while competing?
There were actually two moments. So one was actually when in my second competition, I had got a 5-second 2x2 single, which is, I mean, for a normal person, that wouldn't be really great. But then for me, I used to get 10 to 11 seconds at home, and I had actually thought that was really world class. So when I got a 5-second single in the competition, I had I flipped out because it was something I had never gotten at home also. It was an overall PB at that time. So that was one of the happiest moments. And the other one was my first national record, which was a cube. It was a 4.56 average I had got about 3 years ago. It had actually, until then again, I had no idea that I would go compete in national level. But when I broke my national record, it gave me a lot of motivation to continue cubing and also try to break the record I had already set. So actually speaking, Cube was the reason I started breaking more and more records, and then I moved on from Cube to Big Cubes.
Oh, okay, I see. So would you say before that Scube record, you were just mainly practicing, I guess, 2x2, 3x3 Scube, or?
Yeah. Until then, it was only 2x2. It was 2, 3, 4, and then Cube.
Okay. And then since you talked about the 2x2 solve 5 seconds, so that was the
Yeah.
first time you'd really felt like happy with the official solve, right?
Yeah.
And did that kind of like give you motivation and show you that it's possible to do well in competition?
Yeah, it actually told me that there are no boundaries. It's not like if you're sub 10, all your solves are only going to be 8, 9, 10, 11 or somewhere there. Like there is a chance that anyone can get lucky and get a good solve at any time.
All right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Mm.
Then you were talking about how after that competition, after the Scube national record, which was around 3 years ago, then
Yeah.
you started to move on to Big Cube. So how did that transition like happen?
This was I actually had my Indian nationals, which was actually in my home city. It was the same year I had broken my national record for Cube. It was in Chennai. So the thing was, I was
And this
practicing.
was sorry to interrupt, but this was
Yeah,
2015.
yeah, this was 2015.
Okay.
So at that time, I had a very big interest for 4x4. And at that time, I hadn't. And my 4x4 was a really pathetic 4x4. It was an Ausu at that time. I mean, it was the best 4x4 in the market, but my 4x4 in general was bad. So I thought of doing something else because I was actually pretty fast. At that time sub 40 was a really big thing in India, and I was averaging about 41 to 42. So I used to practice a lot of 4x4, but I had a bad 4x4. So I thought of doing 5x5 then. At that time, the NASA record was about 125 or 126, and the only 4 sessions I did at home, and all were sub 120. So which was a really good, it was really big thing at that time. So I had actually thought of doing more 5x5 than 4x4 because that was my to be frank, it was something like I could surely win this event. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you
Yeah,
saw that it was something easy that you could be good at,
yeah, it
and
was a
the hardware was
potentially.
better, so you decided to focus on that one instead of 4x4.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from there, I guess you just grew a love for big cubes and moved on to 6x6 and 7x7.
Yeah, at that time there was this one of my really close friends, Dhruv Suresh. He was basically the king of big cubes back then. Literally, 4, 5, 6, 7. He was really fast at that time, and till then the 7x7 national record was about 4 minutes 20 seconds, and his first solve ever in nationals was a 358.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So
crazy.
yeah, and the best part of this was I was his judge, so I was able to see everything he was doing, and that really amazed me. So I had decided at the second he broke his national record, I decided that I am going to break his national record.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
So,
which is that was one of the reasons why I started focusing mainly on, like, completely diverted my focus towards big cubes. Like, there was a time in 2015 to 2017 where I had completely stopped doing 3x3, 2x2 skew. I basically did only 5, 6, and 7 at the time.
so at that moment, would you say that's what was kind of the turning point where you decided I'm going to be good at big cubes?
Yeah, well, I did have a liking towards big cubes from the first, but this was the time where I decided, like, this was the time where I had set my mind completely, where it was more like I wasn't, how to say, I wasn't shocked by his achievement, but it was an aspiring moment, kind of, you can say.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess that's enough about your background story of cubing, unless you have any other like funny stories or something that you want to share.
No, there's not much. Like, it's been very boring.
Okay. So I guess we can move on to talking more specifically about big cubes themselves. So when you practice or when you're solving in general, do you have any preference between like favorite events between 5x5, 6x6, and 7x7?
Yes, to be frank, 5x5 is my favorite cubing event, actually, because this is the only event which, I mean, to be frank, it's not considered a big cube, but it's not considered not a big cube also. Like, it doesn't take much time. If you think of a 6x6 and 7x7, you're devoting yourself to about a minute and a half or 2 minutes, depending on the cube. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is also the thing is, I can take breaks and solve a 5x5 during my study breaks because it won't take much time. Generally, I don't touch my 3x3s or 4x4s. It's only big cubes. So 5x5 is my favorite event for not just that, but even in competitions, I seem to do much better in pressure with pressure in 5x5 than 6 and 7.
Okay, that's interesting. So like I would have thought it would have been people do better with 6 and 7 just because it takes more time and like small mistakes wouldn't matter that much. But it's cool how would you do better on 5x5. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
expected that.
the thing is, there's a very high possibility of 6x6 and 7x7 popping with pressure because your turning is not accurate.
Ah, okay, okay.
So
I didn't think about that.
yeah, so which is why, because it's because the new hardwares in 5x5. By the way, this is a Cosmic Wushuang M from SpeedCubeShop. Please go buy this.
All right,
Um,
I'll put a
yeah,
link in the description.
yeah. So the thing with 5x5 is there are new hardwares which actually makes it much resistant to much. Yeah, it makes it very resistant to popping. So however fast I can turn on a 5x5, I can ensure myself that it doesn't pop. So that's one big advantage in a 5x5.
Yeah, 5x5s have gotten really, really good in the past couple of years. Like
Yeah,
magnets and the Wushuang. So I guess the cosmic or supernova Wushuangs. Every
yeah.
one of them I've tried is just amazing.
Yeah, and to be frank, I usually don't use my cubes in competitions. I do, but for big cubes, I use someone else's cube because I don't know how to set up my cubes. But probably 5x5 is the only event where I'm perfectly fine with my cubes because it's not a matter of speed because there are magnets now. You can literally you can have the tensions however loose it wants, but you can ensure yourself that nothing is going to happen to the cube.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just finish linking it in the description.
Okay.
Save. I think I saw a couple questions that were pretty interesting. So this one, I guess, is pretty simple. But was your first 3x3 a Rubik's brand?
No, it was a
Oh, wow.
Chinese knockoff brand. Yes,
Okay. Was it any good
because
or?
no, it popped on my first move.
Okay. And Luke is asking, does this include 4x4? No. So we'll be focusing on 5, 6, and 7 in this stream.
Uh,
4x4 will
yeah,
be separate.
yeah. Well, my 4x4 is in a good condition, and my 6x6 isn't in a good condition. But I will give you help in 6x6.
And then, so since 5x5 is your favorite, I'm
Yeah.
guessing just looking at your WCA results that you prefer 7x7 over 6x6, right?
Yeah, that's because I do have a 7x7 at any point of time. But then my 6x6, I've had 4 6x6s so far, and none of them are intact now, right now, because all of them are completely destroyed and broken.
Oh wow. Yeah, 6x6 hardware still could definitely use some improvement.
Yeah, I'm actually waiting for the new. It's the X-Man 6x6 which is coming, right?
I'm not sure. What was the the shadow thing was a
Yeah,
7x7,
the
right?
Shadow
Is that
6x6.
a
Yeah,
six
the
by
Shadow.
six? Okay.
Yeah, that's 6x6. Yeah.
And then just looking further at your WCA profile, you have NRs for 5, 6, and 7 singles, and the only big cube NR you're missing is 6x6 average. So
Yeah, it
would
was
you be
actually
looking on
broken.
improving that
Yeah, tell me,
soon,
tell me.
or?
Yes, my next competition, I'm planning to break it. But shout out to Jeremy Singson. He broke the current 6x6 average yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was 159 20 something. I had a 159.50, and Jeremy got it to 157, which is pretty. It's pretty breakable because if on a good day I get sub 150, but I'm not gonna jinx anything. So let me just say I'm gonna try my best.
All right. Good luck to you. And
Yeah.
I think you mentioned earlier, back in like 2015, the 7x7 NRs were a lot worse than they are now. So
Yeah.
I guess it kind of leads into something I was wondering. How do you think like the Indian cubing community has been improving in the past couple of years in terms of both
Um,
records and popularity?
Yeah, it's actually thanks to a few people. Akash Rupela was one of the biggest. How do you say? He's one of the biggest cubers in India. Not in terms of speed, but in terms of if you know what I'm saying. He's a very big influence in the cubing community.
Okay.
It's thanks to him many people have started cubing, and it's also thanks to him many people have started taking it seriously. Now, to be frank, I would have never expected we would have got our times down to 230s or 240s 2 years ago. I had honestly thought we'd be stuck in somewhere in 330s and 340s when the record was 420 in a 7x7. And I would have never expected myself to come sub 1 in a 5x5 at that time. So I mean, it's actually it's probably 50% of practice, and probably hardware also counts a big amount because if you try to use a Sheng Shou at that time, I'm pretty sure none of us in India at least would have got a sub 1 by then.
Okay. So overall, it's just the community developing, and for records, it's hardware as well as practice for
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. Hardware actually plays a big amount in cubes these days, at least for big cubes right now.
Okay. So I guess we can just focus a bit more on hardware right now. So what are your mains for 5, 6, and 7?
My 5x5 main is the Cosmic Wushwang. My 6x6 main is the magnetized Wuhua. It's not any brand. It's just the magnetized Wuhua, which is broken right now. So I'm probably waiting for the shadow. That should be interesting because apparently Nam had posted a session of with the cube and it seemed pretty good.
Yeah, I think Anthony also asked him how it is, and he said it's really good. So
Yeah,
hopefully that'll
and
spark some big cube improvements soon for 6 by
yeah,
6.
yeah, and I probably will magnetize that because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Magnets seem
and
to help with
then
everything.
yeah, this is a magnetic 7x7. Again, this is not magnetized by any company specifically. It's just a magnetic 7x7 because again, it doesn't matter. Any magnets in a big cube works because it's not going to make a very significant difference because the cube already has a lot of. If you think about it, the hardware already plays a big part. Just the rough turning already plays a big part, and the magnets are just going to keep it intact and stable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so for magnetic 7 by 7s, are there magnets in every piece?
I think so. I think there are two magnets. There are three magnets in the corner, and in
Okay,
the
and then
innermost pieces, I think only one magnet. I don't think there are two magnets in every piece. In the edges, I'm saying.
okay, yeah, yeah, it would be kind of hard
Yeah,
to fit
yeah,
two.
yeah. I think. I mean, I'm not sure about the logic used, but I think the middle two pieces, not the centermost piece. The middle two pieces have one magnet each, and the center has again one magnet. Only these two pieces have two magnets, or it's something like that. I'm pretty sure that's how it is.
Okay, and then there's a question in the chat. What are your goals for the Indian Nationals 2018?
Um, honestly, going with Kesava, I would say I have no expectations, but I would probably want to be the national champion for all big cubes because that is something I've been working towards. Because I've never been a national champion for all three big cubes until until now, actually. Because
Yeah,
every
so
time,
I'm actually on your profile now. So 2016, you got third in 5 by 5, second in 6, second in 7, and then
yeah,
last year 2017, first in 5, first in 6, second in 7 by 7.
yeah. So I've never been national champion in all three events in the same year, which is kind of the reason I want to be national champion in 5, 6, and 7 this year.
All right, that's a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
So I guess now we can talk about more specifically about techniques for improving and solving methods for big cubes.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on like doing a lot of sessions in a week versus doing few sessions but where you do a ton of solves?
I would actually do a lot of sessions with very minimal solves. My sessions are about 5 to 6 sessions every day with about 20 solves each. So which is basically 100 solves. But it's actually better because you do have breaks in between. If you sit in one place and you do a lot of solves, it's just going to tire you out. But this way, you're actually ensuring your speed doesn't decrease and you still get the same amount of solves done. So it's kind of a win-win situation by doing that.
Okay, and I guess my only concern with that would be would like if you only do how many did you say, like 15 or 20 solves per
Yeah,
session?
15, 20, 20 would max. 20 would top it off. I don't know more than 20 solves a session.
So like for the first couple solves of that session, do you think like not being warmed up would negatively affect your times?
No, because I actually time my warm up also. I start timing every solve I get, so I know where my warm up ends and my real solve start. So that can actually be used in a competition as well if you think about it.
Okay, yeah. And since you're doing separate sessions of like a smaller amount of solves, that also I
Yeah,
think translates better to competing because it's more realistic. You're not going to be sitting at the same spot for like 3 hours. You'll be
yeah,
solving, leaving, coming back later.
yeah, and you don't lose your speed also this way.
Okay. And then something that I find interesting about big cubes specifically is that I find that there's a lot of carryover between the events. So say you get you improve like 20 seconds on 7 by 7. Odds are you probably got like, I don't know, 8 to 10 seconds better on 6 by 6 or something.
Yes, definitely.
So
Because that also implies that also that actually carries to your 4 and 3 and 2 as well. If you think about not two, but then 4 and 3 as well. Because the only reason I'm sub 9 in 3 by 3 is because I'm where I am in 5 and 6. Because Honestly, if I was only to do 3 by 3, I would be nowhere near sub 10. Like, to be frank, I don't practice 3 by 3 at all. The only reason I am close to sub 9 or I'm sub 9 at home is because of big cubes. So yeah, it does play a pretty big part. And the same thing, every time I improve in 7 by 7 and then I move on to a 6 by 6, my times automatically improve.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
I forget what I was gonna ask about that. Oh yeah, do you think that, like, just the carryover between them has encouraged you to practice more? Because I know some people, if they do like very different events that don't really have any carryover, say if you're doing like, I don't know, blind and scube or something, there isn't really any
Yeah.
carryover there. So if you stop practicing one, you'll get worse. So do you think just the fact that your three main events are kind of related to each other, do you think that's helped?
Yeah, it has actually helped a lot. Yeah, probably the only reason is because like half my national records are only because I have screwed up the big cube event before the event I've had, and at least the how do I say, the I've not gotten completely. I've gotten used to the way I was solving that in pressure, which had helped me in the next session, if that makes any sense.
You okay? Yeah, that makes sense. So you got used to the pressure with different events and then came back to
Yeah.
this.
Normally, when I break a 6 by 6 national record, it's probably because 7 by 7 was the event before that, and under pressure, I couldn't do anything in 7 by 7. So I got over the fact that I'm going to screw up, and then I just go for it in 6 by 6, and I somehow do well.
Okay. Let me check the chat. A couple people asked earlier how to improve. So in general, what would be your tips for like improving look ahead and efficiency for big cubes, whether centers,
Um,
edges, anything in general?
yeah, if you want to improve look ahead, you'd have to start by slowing down your turning, because that's how I had actually started. I had started by reducing my TPS very badly. This will eventually affect your. This will at first affect your solves. It might decrease it by 5-10 seconds also, because the thing is you are completely slowing down your turning, so you can focus on what you see here and there, which is it's not a bad thing, because the thing is you need to get used to the fact that if you want to turn fast and look ahead, you need to get used to the fact that your turning is left in your muscle memory, and the fact that you're looking should be the only thing you're focused on. Now, when I solve, I don't at all think about my turning. My turning is something, it's a secondary thought. My primary thought is always on what I'm searching for. And this is something which also will help you in your 3 by 3 and your 4 by 4. If you are doing it, if you're doing it on a 5 by 5, if you're doing it on a 7 by 7, it's going to influence all your other cubic events. So yeah, that's something you would want to look at.
Okay, so mainly just focus on searching for pieces and only turn
Yeah.
when you know what you're doing.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is a good tip I've learned from my friend. When you're on a big cube, say a 7 by 7, never stop looking. When you find an edge, make sure that edge comes under your muscle memory. So let me give you an example. Let me solve the centers of 5 by 5 and show you. Um,
Oh, can you like answer another question while you solve that?
yeah. Sure. Tell me.
Oh, what was it? Oh, I'm forgetting now. Okay, so yeah, for look ahead, most beginners, including myself, centers are pretty easy for the most part in
Yeah.
terms of look ahead. But I found that a lot of people struggle with edges because there's just so many pieces that can be hiding on the bottom and the back. So what would be your advice for improving that?
Yao.
Yao?
Yeah, no. The thing is, I use Yao in a 5 by 5.
Oh,
So
really?
it's a shocker to everyone, but I mean to a lot of people. But then I do use Yao in a 5 by 5. I use Redux on 6 and 7 because there is no point of using Yao. But the thing with the 5 by 5 is it's pretty similar to a 4 by 4. There are not a lot of pieces. So the thing is, since you already have your bottom layer solved, you're limiting yourself only to 8 edges, and these 8 edges are going to be in your E layer or your U layer, so you don't have to worry much. And even in Yao, I use this category which is I'm not sure what it's called, but it's somewhat similar to 3 to 3. It's basically cycles. You know what cycles are, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, what I would do is, luckily I have a solved edge here, but then my process of edge making is, I make two edges here in the back. Basically, I make two edges in the back, and
Okay.
then I make all my remaining 6 edges are done in the F and U layer with practically zero to no rotations.
Oh wow.
So, giving you an example, I already have my edge solved here, and in a method similar to 3 to 3. So, the edge I want to do is my orange and yellow edge here.
Yes.
So, I slice here, search for the piece which has to come here. You see the bottom edge.
Yeah.
So, that is over here. So, I bring it down and I slice back, and then I have this edge made. I need to make the threads, and the third piece is in the back. So, I bring it in front, slice, and then I slice back. But then I can look ahead a little more and I can find this piece because I know this edge is already going to be made, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah. So you want to find the green orange. So when you slice back, you're already doing the next one.
Yeah, the green red. So the green red is here. So it's already sliced back here.
Yeah.
So I'm done with my back two edges, if you can see that.
Yeah.
Now I only have, now if you think about it, I have 6 edges to do, but I don't have to worry about the back. I only have to worry about the front and the top.
Yeah.
So that's a big advantage for me. So I will start off by making the green and red edge here. Slice, insert, and then slice back. So I've inserted this, and on my slice back, I can try making more edges. It's how you do the if you do a 5x5, you do if the way Matt's Walk does it, he makes 2 F12 edges, inserts it, and then does the remaining 4 edges this way, right?
Yes.
I'm basically doing the same thing without the 2 F12 edges, but 2 random edges at the back.
Okay, so that would just be a little bit more efficient in terms of the edge part.
Yeah, but sometimes finding your edge is very tough because you need to keep track of where you're slicing, what you're slicing, and what you're replacing it with too.
Okay, and then you said.
Yeah, tell me.
And then after you solve 2 more edges, you're left with last 4, right?
No, I do 6 edges at once. It's basically like 3 to. Yeah, it's basically like 3 to 3. Whichever edge I find, I do it. I'm basically left with last 2 edges. So there.
Okay, So then from the 6, you reduce it to 2.
Yeah. So this is my last 2 edges.
And then obviously you would recommend everyone would learn all the last 2 edges algorithms, right? For 5x5 at least.
Definitely. Yeah, for 5x5 at least, because you can use the same Alex in 6 and 7 as well.
Okay.
Just you need to know which of the slices to move, but you need to. I mean, it's not a necessity, but if you really want to get to a place which is like sub 120 or even sub 1, I would say learn the last 2 edges cases, because if you're going to use only parity, slice, flip, slice, parity, it's going to at least take you 6 to 7 seconds. And the sad part was I had started learning last 2 edges only after I was sub 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'd only known 2 algorithms. One was when you have to switch only these 2, and one is the parity.
Oh, okay.
Any other cases until I was like 59, 58. And after learning the parities, it took me just a week to come down to 55. And from there, a little more efficiency to about 52, 53 globally.
That's crazy. And then you said those same last 2 edge algorithms you can use on 6 and 7?
Yeah.
And then would there be any more cases, or can you basically get by with just the 5x5 ones?
There won't be any more cases. Everything is the same in 6 and 7, but you do have parity in 6x6. That is something from 4x4. But the last 2 edges cases, there will be it will be the same from 5 to 7. Just the layers will be different.
Okay. So for 5x5, would you say Yao is better than Redux, or do you just use it because you prefer it?
Oh no, this is something no one believes, but I really think Yao is better than Redux for a 5x5.
Okay, I can kind of see that, because 5x5, it's not exactly a big cube, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
There's quite few pieces. There's not that many edges to pair up. Think about 6 and 7. There's just a lot of edges, so you're gonna get lucky, and there's gonna be a lot of pieces solved that you can build on. But 5x5, there's so few pieces.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but it's not very little as well. It's confused, basically, you can say. It's in the middle. So it's the best event you can start out with if you want to get into big cubes as well.
Definitely, yeah. I'm actually enjoying it a lot too. And then, I guess more in general for all the big cubes, other than once you learn I guess how to systematically solve your edges and the last 2 edge algorithms and how to do parity efficiently, is there really anything else that you need to say learn, or does it just come down to practice?
It would require a lot of practice for you to break your barriers, because if a person thinks by learning more algorithms a person can break the certain barriers, it's To be frank, I have also tried that and I have also failed. Back when sub 2 was a big thing for a 5 I had actually tried to learn my what was that called? Did you know the parity algorithm?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd actually used the very basic one. If you know the R2B2 algorithm, the old parity algorithm we learned first.
No, I'm
Uh,
not sure I know that one.
Okay, but that was the first one I learned, and it was pretty long because you had a lot of B moves in middle. So I had thought of learn. I at that time I had Felix had a 50-50. That was the world record, 50.50.
Okay.
So he had used a different parity algorithm for that than what I had used. So I thought if I had learned that, that would save me about 10 seconds, which was very bizarre. But then that's what I had thought at the time. So speaking from experience, I have done really stupid stuff by learning more algorithms to make me think that I would improve my times, but that doesn't work. In the end, it comes down to practice only.
Yeah, and I think specifically big cubes. Like once you know the basics and how to do your method, and I guess the last couple edges efficiently, there's not really much else to learn. You just have to work on look ahead for most of the improvement, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in inspection, when you're starting a big cube solve, whether it's 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
how would you recommend people practice like planning more of their centers, and how much are you
Um,
currently able to plan for 5, 6, and 7?
for 5 by 5, I plan my first center out in inspection for fully my first center, and if I have enough time, I probably look at my second center. In 6 and 7, I'd say go and at least inspect 2 bars, nothing less than 2 bars, because if you the thing with most people is they see a bar and then that's all they do. So in inspection, they spend only 2-3 seconds. If I see, in case this is my scramble in a 5 by 5, most people I know would see this and then they'd see where the center is and start. But this is actually an opportunity to look more. So I can see to make my first bar, which is this. This piece would take a U and an L prime. So then I made this, and then it takes me one move to insert this, and then I can look ahead for the third bar. So which is it's more the more you see, the more which is easier to you. It's the more it gives you more time to look at other things. Is what I would say for inspection. So like just try to make the most out of what you get in inspection. Don't think that finding only one bar is something good for 5 by 5 or 6 by 6 or 7 by 7.
All right, that makes sense. I think that's pretty common to any events. If you're like,
Yeah.
if you see something good in inspection, there's no reason to start early. It's just an opportunity to keep looking for
Yeah, exactly.
more. And then
Yeah.
you mentioned bars. So for first 2 centers, what's your opinion on like doing bars versus doing blocks?
I mean, blocks are something you use if you're extremely confident about what you're doing. I
Like
would
something
say,
like this blue center.
yeah,
There's like this 2 pair and that one there. So you
yeah.
can build like this, and
You
then
can actually do something better there.
yeah.
If you can take it back to the original case, I'll give you an example. Um, okay, wait.
So do you use more bars than kind of blocks of?
Yeah, let me give you a case here.
Solid
So
parts?
I have one inner piece and one edge piece here, one edge center. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see now.
Yeah, and then I have already made block here. Instead of
Okay.
making a block by doing 1-2 moves here, this leaves me with an outer hanging piece here, right?
Yeah.
Instead of that, I can take this piece,
Yeah.
this one, and I can do insert it this way. So it makes a block here and then bring this block, which gives me 3 bars, which give me 2 bars, and I have only one more bar to make, which is luckily made here, and I insert it this way.
Okay. And do you think you use like kind of? You have something like this, I guess, with that and that.
Yeah,
Like
you
this,
can do
this type of thing.
a U prime and an R prime, which would
Yeah,
be a
exactly.
first block.
So like that's what I mean. So something like, this is kind of hard to show, but like, and then
Exactly.
Yeah. So you don't always just build like necessarily just build like a bar of 3 by 1 by 1 and then make 2. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. Yeah.
It depends on what's given to you. It's best to
Exactly, yeah.
make use out of what's given than try to make something different. Because if you think using bars is the best method, and you have a block, it's better to utilize that block than to make a bar out of the block. If you can try to figure out what I'm saying.
Yeah. So if you Hold on, I know what you're saying. I can't really explain it either. Okay, let me think about this. If you're given blocks, then you should do blocks and not do
Yeah,
bars. So you should just use whatever you're given to your
yeah,
advantage, and don't
yeah,
try to turn it into
exactly.
something else that it isn't.
Yeah, that's just going to waste time and a lot of moves as well.
Okay, and that would be just for first two centers, and then for is there anything really different you do in terms of first two versus third and fourth?
Yes, I use half centers for my 5x5, which is something I've actually recommended to a lot of people. Although I would say only after you're comfortable with using half centers in 4x4, you would do in 5x5. So, giving you an example, I
So would
will
that be
finish
like
my first.
solving the left half of a center, so you can do RU for the rest of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. I'll do a redux solve because not many of you don't use Yao. So here I would
Oh, wait,
make
I'll just put the
two.
camera on you 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, there.
So I would use only two blocks. I would make only two blocks here, not two bars. So I've made two bars here. So for blue,
Yes.
instead of making my third bar, I will just keep it in the left side. And the color directly under blue is red. So I make two more blocks in red. Here.
Oh.
And then I make two blocks in green. So I made blocks in three colors, and I have the fourth color completely to use to my advantage. So now all I know is every color will be in my R surface or will be in my U surface, because this is completely untouched and I have blocks everywhere here.
Yeah, so now it's basically 4x4.
Yeah, it's basically 4x4. So now I make my blue. My blue fourth block luckily was made, so it's just an R. So my blue center's done. Now I have to make my red, because I'm going in order. I can't make opposites if you think logically.
Yeah. Because then
So
you would
I
have to
do
do a
my,
bunch of R2 stuff.
yeah, I don't have to use any L moves because everything is in the R layer only. So my red is here, and then there are two here. So I do this. There, my red is done, and now I have last two centers, which is I would suggest you learn. You don't learn cases, but then pick up algorithms through intuition.
Yeah, there's only like a specific number. There's a
Exactly.
pretty low number of cases that it can be. So just with experience, I guess you'll come up with the best solution with each. Or if you
Yeah.
see like example solves or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, and then talking about last two centers, I think someone in the chat asked about tips for 7x7 last two centers. So do you have
Oh, sure.
anything specific to say about that?
Yeah. If you have any other questions, by then I can at least solve the first four centers.
All right, I'll just like look through for those. Um, do you think big cube cutoff times should be less strict in competitions?
Yeah, because to be frank, 6 minutes for a 7x7 is probably not really something Indians would at least be have a good amount of people getting through, because right now because also most of the best cubes in the market are really expensive if you think about it.
Yeah, so it
So
isn't that easy for someone to spend that much money on a big
yeah.
cube when they're
Yeah, and
I
that
don't know
too, if
if
they're
they're
not
gonna
going
like
to
it.
take the events. Yeah, if you're not going to take your events seriously, there's no point in spending that much money on such an expensive cube.
Okay, but then there's also
Uh,
the concern of like scheduling issues. So if someone wants to hold big cubes, they're always going to be concerned that it's going to make the competition run off schedule.
yeah, but then I mean, if you are actually planning to make a competition with big cubes, you must have some idea on how you can have some time management for this event, right? Like
Yeah,
you're expecting people to, you're not expecting everyone to pull up like a 2 minute 30 or a 2 minute 40. There will be people who will exceed 10 minutes, so you need to kind of have enough preparation to handle those people as well, if you are planning to organize a comps that way.
right. And then what was I thinking? So overall, they just need to have a balance between the cutoff strictness and like being fair to allow the most people to compete with given the scheduling time.
Yep. Oh yeah. Speaking of pops, my
Yeah, I can see that.
give me a second.
All right, I'll just scroll through, see if there's anything else.
Okay, so now we're in last two centers. So this is a very nice case of block building, I would say. See, the thing is, I have a block made here, and then I have a edge made here. So what I will do is, if you see, I will make this come over here. So this edge will, these centers will come over here. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
So by just doing inner move this way and that way, I have made 3 blocks.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, I saw that.
By 3 moves, I basically made 3 blocks. So then I would bring the thing is, however I do it, I make sure that my unsolved edges will all be in one of it will never be in an inner layer, it will always be in the outer centers layer. So this is an easy case. Again, I bring this down here. I have this case. So it's just slice U2 slice back and then bring it back. So I'm only left with the last edge here. I mean the last center making here, if you follow me.
Yeah. So it's just then again, and then the same thing on no, red's a bit different, right?
Yeah, red's a little bit. So I bring the blue center back. So by doing this, I bring the blue center back. I align the blue center with the most number of solved center pieces. Do you follow what I'm saying? The blue,
yes.
The
so
blue
you have 3 on
center.
that side.
Yeah, and then I bring this center corner to this spot by doing this. I do back, and then all I'm left with is one of these cases. I don't know what they're called.
Just like a commutator, something like that.
Yeah, commutator. So I'm left with only one commutator, and I do my. That's a very simple algorithm, and then I'm left with edges.
Okay.
Basically, the thing is, do a lot of slow solves for 6 and 7x7. So you can try to understand how the pieces move more, because that's what I used to do. I would do very slow solves and use as much of what I have to my advantage.
Okay, I guess one thing I have a problem with 5x, not 5x5 necessarily, but I was doing some 7x7 yesterday, is just like knowing which pieces are which and what I need to be looking for. So yeah, as you mentioned, I think slow solves would help a lot with that.
Yeah, it helps in understanding how the pieces move.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people only go with what they've learned in a YouTube video, but that doesn't explain how you can use or manipulate a center or an edge to your advantage.
All right. So are there any more specific last 2 center cases you'd like to show for 7x7 or 6x6 or 5x5?
Well, there are no cases. I'd say learn the basics, and from there you can try. How do you say? You can try giving it your own touch, but that's not exactly what I mean. You can try improvising on what you have learned.
Okay.
I mean,
and then
just know your basics. That should be enough to that. Even for a world-class solver, knowing your basics is pretty much enough for your centers.
All right, and then for edges, as we discussed earlier, there's also not that many complicated tricks that you can do.
You can use cycles. You can use cycles on your edges.
On Redux?
Yeah, on Redux. Your last 4 edges you can cycle. I will show you an example. So the most important thing about cycles is you need to bring 2 of your unsolved edges to your top.
Oh, yes, okay. Yeah. I watched Kevin his 6 and 7 edges video.
Yeah. That was probably also how I got into cycles for 6 and 7. Thank you, Kevin Hayes. You're the reason I'm using cycles in 6 and 7.
Yeah. So could you just also show an example of that? So for people who don't know.
Sure. So I have brought my 2 edges in the top.
Yeah.
Ideally, what a person would do is they would make the inner 3 edges and then solve it like a 5x5. If you think about it that way.
Yeah. Okay. I see that.
But I mean that's I mean why do we need to do that when we know much more? So what I do is I have if you see I have 3 of these out of 5 of the edges I have 3 ready.
Yes.
So and then the 4th piece is over here. You see?
Yeah.
So by one slice I have 4 of the 5 edges ready.
And then you can replace it
with the 5th edge. You can replace it with the 5th edge.
Yeah.
So I slice back with the 5th edge down and I slice here and I bring the edge back down and then I replace it with the 5th edge, and then the color which goes here, I bring that edge down. So do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I bring this down and then I replace it. So now do you see we have a formed edge here? And then
so right after solving that one, you put in the piece that's going to solve the other thing when you slice back.
Yeah, which is the concept of cycles, and it's such an interesting concept because how much ever you know about it, there's so much more you can do with what you have already. Like there's there are infinite possibilities. They're not infinite, but then there are many possibilities of what you can get, which is why it's a very interesting method. And no one can know enough or too much about this method because there's always something new you get.
Okay, yeah. So like I know most people use cycles for 4x4, last 8 edges if they're doing Yao or if they're
Yeah,
using like something different. But I think a lot of people just don't know about the last 4 edges cycles on big cubes because I see a lot of people doing just slice, flip, slice. And yeah, as you
exactly.
mentioned, 4x4, like the 4x4 cycles are very simple. There's just 2 edges, so it's the same type of thing every time. But 6 and 7, there's a lot more to know because there's so many different possibilities.
Yes, and I would really, really, really recommend you guys watch Kevin Hayes' videos on cycles, because what I did was it was probably nothing compared to how in not in detail, but how he has managed to explain the whole concept, and he's also given a few examples also in his video. If you really are serious about trying to get into this concept of cycles, do check out his videos.
Sweet.
And,
And
and
then
even his example solves, to be frank, his example solves also give us a lot of detail about cycles.
nice. So I think we basically covered most of what there is to know for like solving techniques, unless you have anything else to add.
Not that I can think of, but then if I do have anything, I will stop in between and let you know about that.
Okay, nice. Oh, and then one more thing I was wondering about. So you
Yeah, tell
mentioned
me.
that like obviously 5x5 you use Yao, makes it different from the way you solve 6 and 7. Is there any
Yeah.
like are there any major differences between the way you solve 6x6 and the way you solve 7x7?
No, it's actually, to be frank, the way I solve 6 by 6 is exactly how the way I solve 7 by 7. I
Except
make
just parity.
except for parity. I come until the last 4 edges in a normal way, and in the last 4 edges, I use cycles in both the methods, and then I go on to 3 by 3. It's practically the same thing. The methods for 4 and 5 are the same, and the methods for 6 and 7 are the same for me.
Nice. And then I guess for more like minor differences, would there be any differences in like how you block build the centers or what kind of edges you decide to solve first?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not color neutral in any of my events except for 2 by 2. So I only do white and yellow. White and yellow. I start off with white and yellow centers, and in edges, I make it a point to make my first 8 edges only white and yellow, because I can see those pieces very easily come into my eyes, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think most people are color neutral on big cubes, aren't they?
Yeah, a lot of people. Felix is color neutral, and Kevin is also color neutral. It's just that I've tried being color neutral, but then my eyes naturally have adapted to seeing only white and yellow as my primary edges or my centers.
Okay, so do you think that's holding you back at all, or do you think it just basically doesn't
Yes,
matter?
I'm pretty sure I can have a 10-second steady improvement if I can somehow get myself color neutral,
Oh wow,
because
10
there are
seconds?
probably, because if I can get my 3 by 3 states to color neutral as well, I can probably look ahead to my 3 by 3 states in my last 4 edges, because I spend about 3-4 seconds searching for my cross when I start 3 by 3 states.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So do you think it would ever be like worth the effort for you to switch?
I don't think so, because right now I mean it's because that would probably affect my my 4 and 5, because I'm using Yao in 4 and 5. No,
Oh, that's
I mean,
true. Yeah, I didn't
yeah.
think of that.
So yeah, so it's not. I don't think I'll ever be color neutral, but I do. But it might. I mean, I don't know. Right now, it's tough to say what I'm going to be doing with
Okay,
5, 6, and 7.
but I think color neutrality is less important on like big 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 compared to 3x3.
Yes. 3 by 3 being color neutral is probably, yeah. It's a good thing being color neutral in 3 by 3. But again, I don't see myself getting color neutral in 3 by 3. It's only white and yellow. It's a dual neutral, you can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone's asking if you can make some Yao example solves on your channel. I think that's a good idea.
Oh yes, I do have a few Yao example solves, but they are 3 years old,
Oh wow.
and
Okay, that needs an
they
update.
yeah, it's very beginner. It's basically nothing I use right now except for my centers are in that video. So yeah, I will make I do have a lot of spare time too, because it's my summer holidays. Yeah, whoever you are, I will make it a point to make a few example solves in Yao in my channel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Max Xiong is asking you, do you ever think you'll get sub 220 on 7?
You know what? I am going to probably. It's going to be tough, but I do want, my goals for 2018 was actually to get a sub 50 5 by 5 average officially, a sub 227 by 7 average, and a sub 140 6 by 6 average officially. So I mean, we still have a lot of time for 2018 to get over. So yeah, Oh, I still, yeah, yes, I do. Yes.
Nice. Oh, and I forgot to ask you, yeah. So someone earlier also asked about your 2018 goals. So you said sub 55 by 5 average and
Yeah.
sub 227. So any goals for six or for five
Yeah.
or for singles?
Six is one sub 140. I want a sub 130 single. And probably in Asians. In Asians, I want a sub 130 single in 6x6.
Nice. And then sub 54, wait, what was I saying? Sub 50, 5 by
Yeah.
5. So I know
Yeah.
Bill recently broke that a couple days ago. So now there's four people with sub 50 averages.
Yes, and
So
the best part is I have actually started getting sub 50 solves averages at home. Until
nice.
now, my solves would be like a 49 or a 48 in every 25 solves, but I've been getting almost 3 or 4 sub 50s in every 12 solves right now.
Okay, that's pretty good. So you're getting there. By the end of the
Yeah,
year, hopefully you'll have it.
yeah, definitely.
And then like how many more people do you think can be sub 50 5 by 5 by the end of the year for official
Um,
average?
Let me think. Abdel Haq Kadur, I really want you to be sub 50 in 5 you are my M team rival, to be frank. I mean I really want you to get sub 50. Does Maths have a sub 50 average?
No, he doesn't.
Maths for sure. Maths without a sub 50 average, there's no way you're going to leave 2018.
If I'm not mistaken, there's only four people with sub
Yeah.
50.
I have a strong feeling Felix is going to get. Does he have a sub 45 average?
Felix? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. In officially.
Let me check. 5 by 5 average. Yeah, 43.
Okay.
Felix 43, Max 43, Sunghyuk 46.8, Bill 49, and then there's a bunch of people with like 50, 51.
Yeah, I mean,
Sebastian, Kevin, Patrick,
oh yeah.
Max,
I'm pretty
Ethan.
sure Kevin. I'm pretty sure Kevin and Sebastian are also going to get sub 50 by the end of the year for sure. There is no way they're not going to get sub 50.
Yeah, they're both super close, like 50.0,
Yeah,
50.0 and 50.4.
yeah. I would really want to get a sub 50 average because I mean, it's not even like I want to be the best in the world, but then top 10 is going to be something which will really make my cubing career.
Yeah, top 10 is pretty special. I think you can
Yeah.
get there by the end of the year. How can you practice centers to edges transition?
Oh, again, this is something I do personally. So I turn slow in the commutator for my last two centers. I turn extremely slow, and then what I do is I look at my R layer and my L layer. I don't focus on my U and D because these edges are going to be broken with my commutator. So I look at my R and
Oh,
L
that's
layer, and
smart.
then yeah, and then I immediately transition into it. I do a rotation because I told white and yellow. I'm only confident with these two colors. So I quickly do a rotation, and then I start off with the edge. However, whatever I've looked at, I'm going to make use of what I've seen so far at that time. So even if I see only two pieces out of a five edge piece, I will start off with that and then slowly, what I told you before also, never stop looking ahead in a 7x7 or 6x6. Focus your turning on your muscle memory and mainly focus only on your look ahead. Don't ever stop looking ahead for a 6 and 7.
Right. And you said so you'll basically just go with whatever you see first, and you don't think
Yeah.
it's worth pausing to find like the absolute best edge for the first one.
No, not for the first edge. Not for the
Okay.
first edge.
And then everything after that, obviously you've had time at that point to look around the cube.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if there's any other questions. Nothing really. So if you guys have any more questions, we can answer those. I'm getting thirsty too. Oh, okay. So we already talked about Yao for 5x5.
Yeah.
I think another discussion that I had with Max and Abdullah the other time was about M-slice pairing. Do you think M-slice pairing could be useful for edges?
M-slice pairing, I don't think I get what you're saying.
Like, you know how everyone pairs the edges on the E-slice like this?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you,
So, like,
you mean...
holding...
Oh, isn't that how Kevin does his last four edges?
I think he does it sometimes.
Yeah.
I think some of the old school cubers used to use
I mean,
like that.
I've never tried that, but I mean, it doesn't look nice. I mean, I don't find that very efficient because you have, technically speaking, you always have two unlooked edges, but this just makes things more tough because you need to keep rotating it this way. But then rotating it Y and a Y prime is slightly easier than doing an X and an X prime because you have to do a complete rotation for this. Like your
Okay.
hands you need a complete regrip also.
And then I think the argument most people like for like M slice pairing is that you can see, because with E slice, say I'm doing like a white bottom, sometimes you won't be able to see these edges, so you'll have to do like Z2, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But for M slice, if you're like this with white yellow on right or whatever at centers you're using, you can just do M slice and then you can see both sides at the same time.
I mean, that seems very interesting. I should try that out. I
So
mean,
I think
I mean,
the look ahead aspect of it is probably interesting because you don't have to flip the
I
cube.
see. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But I think most people are just so adapted to using E slice pairing, it would be kind of weird to switch.
I guess. Yeah. I guess I don't see myself using M slice pairing officially anytime soon because it does look like it takes a lot of work to kind of master. Like if you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Because
like completely switching up your solving style.
yeah, exactly. Plus, this will not benefit you in any event because if you use this on a 6 and 7, you can't try and use it on a 4x4 because 4x4 is 3 to 3. I
Yeah.
mean, you can use it,
Or
but
you
it's
can,
not.
but it's just
Yeah,
not as ideal
it's
as
yeah.
yeah,
Then you have
which has
to
already
even when
been
you're done with your
developed.
edges, you need to rotate to get your cross. You need to do a small cube rotation. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it as a very use. I mean, it might be useful. I mean, but I don't see it as a method many people will use at this stage right now.
Okay. Um But yeah, and then another discussion, more moving on to like big cubes in the WCA specifically. So since
Okay.
feet recently got switched to average of 5,
Yes.
do you ever think like big cubes would be switched to average of 5, or do you think they should be average of 5? Just what are your
They
thoughts on that in
should
general?
be, but I honestly speaking, I don't think big cubes are going to get an average of 5. But I really hope they get an average of 5 because the problem with mean of threes are there's a very high chance you will get a DNF on a 7x7 or a 6x6 at least. To be frank, I have spoiled many chances of getting NASA deckers also through DNFs because many of the times it's not even that it's the cube's fault because of the big size. When I try to drop it in speed, it goes through the timer and it hits the off button. I mean that's something I should avoid, but I'm just saying there are many these small details contribute to DNFs, and you don't get a mean this way. So even if I have like a two, if you let's just take a very wild example that I get like a 214 and a 215, and my next solve is a DNF. So even though I have these two solves which guaranteed me the win because of one DNF, I'm completely spoiling my average.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I really hope they give big cubes an average of 5 because that also gives us a lot of chance to try and get over the one DNF and get a better average if you think about it.
Yeah, I think I would also agree with average of 5, just because of consistency between events. I think the argument for mean of 3 is that the main argument for why it's a mean of 3 is that it takes too long and it would be a hassle to run competitions where everyone has to do 5 solves. But I
Yeah,
think that can easily be solved with like a combined round where you have to do the first 2 and then your time on those first 2 determines if you're allowed to do another solve, which is the way like
exactly.
most combined first rounds work anyway for like 3x3 or something.
Yeah, it's basically using a cutoff, and on that cutoff, you let people solve or not. You decide whether people can solve or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's any other. There's a like. What do you think the reason is just for having a mean of 3? It would just be time,
Uh,
right?
yeah, it's time. I'm pretty sure it's only time because there is no other reason why you don't need to put an average of 5. Because in comps in India specifically, they give almost an hour to big cubes, and even with that 1 hour of solving, we generally go behind schedule only thanks to like not thanks, but it's because of big cubes we go behind schedule.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess another thing to think about with big cubes is sometimes people like will sign up, or if a competition has big cubes, there's usually there's not that many people who actually do it.
Yeah, not.
Like
I mean, if you
if you have
compare
a
it to the people who
150
solve
if you have a 150-person competition, I don't think more than like 30 or
40.
40.
Yeah, exactly. Even in national championships like the internationals, I don't see more than 30 people participating in a 7x7 event.
Yeah.
And about 50 people register, and then out of that, I don't know how, but 20 people magically don't show up at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Like for big cubes and blind, I feel like maybe 30% of the registered competitors are signed up to compete, and then out of those 30%, like maybe 60% of them actually do it.
Yeah, I mean, the funny part is I've actually done that because the thing is you register a number of events, and I generally register only for 15 or 13 events. So I just add in feet extra, and then when the event starts, I just tell them I don't want to participate. I go for scrambling or I go judging. Like I
Okay.
just bail. Yeah, I just bail out
But
to
I'm
leave
guessing
because
you've never done that for big cubes though, right?
oh no, no, no! It's I'm kind of very loyal to my big cube.
Yeah. Because at first when you said you've done that before, I was like, wait, what? You skipped big cubes? Why would you do that?
No, 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 no. But
Okay.
then I have got disqualified before.
Oh, really?
Not in national championships. It was a local. It was a local competition. I had come very late.
Oh, okay. So you just
Yeah,
missed
I
your
got a
round.
DN. Yeah, it was the first one was a DNS. I still participated, but I mean, I still got two other salts.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
DNF and DNS always confuse me. I can never know which is which. Or no,
yeah.
okay,
I
which
mean,
is which makes sense, but like which to give in which situation.
yeah. Even I've had the same doubt. If it's a timer malfunction, is it a DNF or a DNS? Is what I've also been thinking. But apparently, it is a DNF only if you have a timer malfunction before you start.
Or like the standard DNFs that everyone knows about.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes a difference though. They're both like disqualified
Yeah,
attempts.
basically you don't get a solve or your solve isn't counted, so it doesn't make a
Yeah.
difference.
Let's check the chat. I haven't looked at it in a while. Oh, this is interesting. What events do you practice and how much time do you dedicate to each?
Right now I have actually started doing 2x2 along with 5, 6, and 7.
Oh, really? I didn't
In,
know that.
yeah, because to be frank, I got a sub 2 average last year, and I'm planning to get. I want to get a. How do I explain this? I can one look, so I probably want to get the national record for. I mean, the Indian national record for 2x2. But I mean that's a bit far fetched, but I can try with enough practice. So, but back to your question. Sorry, I deviate the topic a lot. But back to your question.
It's still kind of related. So 2x2.
Yeah.
So you kind of
Um,
wait. What do you average on 2x2?
I mean, I would say to be safe, I'd say I'm globally sub 2. But if on a good session, I get about 1.7 to 1.8, and on a bad session, about 2.1 to 2.2.
All right, that's like the same as me. So I'm guessing you know
Yeah.
like full EG then.
No, I don't know EG2. I use
Okay.
anti-CLL for EG2.
Yeah, EG2 is kind
Yeah.
of. I don't think.
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary for. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not unnecessary, but I don't see the point of learning it right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit overrated.
Yeah. But yeah, I would probably spend an hour in total, probably 20, and 10. I don't have a 6x6 right now, so it's probably 20, 20, 20. So 2x2, 7x7, and 5x5.
Okay, and then so you don't do any like skew anymore.
No, I mean, I can't find my cube right now. I have, it's lost. I mean, I have to search for that.
Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions. No, it doesn't look like it.
Let me check that out.
So this, okay.
Okay, there was one who the question was, who was your cubing ideal initially when you started? It was Akash Rupela. Akash Rupela was the Indian national record holder for every event at that time.
Every single one?
Not every event, but from 2 to 7 and Cube, pretty much every mainstream event he had the national record at that time.
Oh wow.
He was, yeah. I actually have an incident to share with you. The first time I met him, I did not know it was him.
Oh, that's
because I had only seen him in YouTube and Facebook, and at that time I was
people probably look different in real life too.
Yeah. So I expected like a 6-footer, big man with a lot of presence. And then the first time I met him, I turned out he was shorter than me when I met him the first time. So I didn't know it was him. I was talking to him, and he was talking very friendlily back to me. And then we raced in 2x2. This was in Nationals 2014. We raced in 2x2 and we talked. And then someone said, Akash Supela, please come here. And then he goes, okay. And I'm like, oh, holy shit, is that Akash Supela?
That's
and then
crazy.
I mean, he was so nice because at that time no one knew me. Like I was the complete beginner, and he spent almost 20 minutes sitting, talking, and like cubing with me. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I really was shocked. How can someone be that nice? Like, there's no way someone can be that modest. So, and even his solves, like he was at that time, we had never got a sub 7. in the same nationals, he got a 6.91 solve.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and I actually solved it. I mean, I was right in front of him when he solved. I couldn't like it was the biggest shock of not a shock, but then I just flipped out completely. I was screeching and screaming, and everyone told me to be quiet or they disqualify me. It was a very big scene. So yeah, Rupala is my cubing idol, Akash Rupala.
That's great.
Um,
But I think
yeah,
the part where you didn't know who he was, and then we're talking to him. I feel like
yeah.
that's the funniest part.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big shocker. I thought he's never gonna talk to me after that incident because I just treated him like a normal cuber and we were friendly chatting. Because if I knew it was Akash Uppala, I would have probably fangirled and asked him for an autograph or something like that.
I think like a lot of similar things to that happened to me at Worlds. Like obviously, I've seen a lot of people on YouTube channels and their like Facebook pictures or whatever. But
Yeah,
Michal Pleskovic, I've seen him from all his videos and his Facebook or whatever. But then when I met him, or before I met him, I saw him walking around and hanging out and everything. And then since
yeah.
he grew a beard before Worlds, so I had no idea that was him. I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, I recognize this face. He's fast. I swear I should know who this is. And then like on the last day, like really close to the end, I'm like, oh my gosh! And then I finally figured out it was him.
Yeah, I mean, to be frank, it was pretty embarrassing when I found out when I knew who he is, but then I didn't talk to him like, I mean, I didn't use his name at all. I just talked to him like he was a normal tuber, so I felt very
Yeah.
bad. I mean, it was more like an embarrassing but weird situation when I found out who he was finally.
Oh, I guess. Oh, because that's the same question I asked earlier. But what are your thoughts on the Indian Cuban community?
Yeah, I mean it's growing. It's going for the better because literally yesterday one of my friends broke the national record, and until probably 2 months ago, sub 8 was the biggest thing ever. And Aryan Sabra had got it down to 7.6. The first ever sub 8 average in India was a 7.6,
That's
and
a
then
pretty big
yeah,
jump.
and I honestly thought that was the best it's going to get for the remaining year. And then yesterday another person, Ujjwal Pabreja, got a 7.5.
Ooh, dropping fast.
Yeah, it's just going at a crazy rate. It's going at a very good rate, and I really hope it continues in this rate.
And then how are like the competitions going? So how many would you say are in India per year?
There's pretty much a comp every weekend. Probably
Oh
in a
wow,
month. Yeah, in a month there are at least 5 to 6 comps.
that's crazy.
There's actually more than one comp every weekend. It's going at a really good rate.
And then
To be frank,
how many
yeah, yeah.
competitors do each get?
Depends on the competition. For competitions in very not rural areas, but not metro cities, it's probably less than 100, 80 to 100. But in places like Chennai, which has a lot of population in terms of tubers, we get about 150 people every competition. And competitions like Mumbai, just there are almost 200 people every competition.
That's great. And then
Yeah.
are you still able to find like venues to fit 200 every time?
Yes, I mean there are a lot of venues. India is not a small place. There are a
Yeah, yeah.
lot of places you can go. But yeah, the mainstream competitions happen in the same venue. Like there is a competition in every January, the first week of January every year in my city, Chennai, which happens in a college, which is the Indian Institute of Technology. That happens every year in the same venue. It's been going on for the last 5 6 years at least.
Okay, that's a good tradition.
Yeah.
And then have you had to start like placing competitor limits yet, or is it just like the
Uh,
perfect balance between people who sign up?
depends on the competition and the venue. Probably in these competitions there's no limit, but in probably competitions with smaller venues they keep like 100 to 150 people maximum.
Okay, yeah,
Like
because
right
basically
now, yeah,
in
tell
my
me.
in my province,
Hmm.
like cubing's become so huge that we have to put limits, and venues just can't take it anymore. We can't really find any place to fit over 200. So most competitions have like a 200 limit, and even that fills up in like a week or like 3 4 days.
Yeah, even Asians has a 300 competitor limit. That's
Yeah,
very.
like I know in
I don't
Asia,
know.
obviously there's a lot of population density in certain regions,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of cubers. So in India, China, I've heard like crazy stories about like Chinese comps filling up in like an hour or something.
Oh, that I mean, we don't win. It's not that fast, but then, like at least on a really major comp, I can see 70 to 80 people registering in the first day itself, which is a very big thing
Yeah, that's
for a
huge.
yeah. Yeah,
But yeah, Asians being 300. So you said you're going there, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, Do you know what other like fast big cubers are going?
I know for a fact that I'm going to see Nam over there soon. I'm going to see him there.
Yeah.
Anju
Felix, I'm not
Zhang.
sure what Felix is doing.
I'm not sure. Even I'm not sure about Felix. But do you know Anju Zhang? He
Yes.
recently broke the 7x7 Asian record.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm
It was
going to
like
see him there.
it was sub 220.
Yeah. Then I want to see. I really want to meet Lin Chen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because these are like the people who have also given me a lot of not tips, but then if have you ever had this feeling where you watch a fast cube solving and you get the motivation to think that I can also get that fast, and then you pick up your cube and you just try solving it in that speed, and then you get decently good times, and you're like, wow, like. Have you ever
Yes. Yeah, I always do that. Like every single time before I do a blind solve, I pretend that I'm Jake, and then I'm like, okay, I'm Jake, I'm gonna get like a 20. And then I get like a 35 or whatever, and I'm super happy with it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. At that time, do you remember Lin Chen got a 239 7x7 with the V cube?
No, I wouldn't remember that. That's probably after I started cubing.
Oh, so at that time when the mini Sheng Shao was a big thing, Lin Chen had broken the 7x7 world record, which was 239 with the V cube. Like I have tried a V cube, and I swear I can't turn it with I can't turn it. It's impossible to turn. And with that, he had broken the world record. So I always go to that solve. By the way, that solve had M slice edges.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like I think a lot of old school cubers used to do it.
Yeah, so I really want to meet Lin Chen, and I want to meet Nam for sure. I don't know how he gets his speed and how much he practices and where he gets the time to practice.
Yeah, he practices a lot. Him and Max they're like super dedicated. But yeah, I'm looking at the Lin Chen 239. You said it was.
Yeah, 239.
Yeah, that was March 2014. So the strength shot was definitely out, and he was just rocking the V cube.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, what I want to do in Asians, honestly, rather than compete, is sit down with these fast cubers and know how they solve, and then get ideas and tips. And then if they really want to listen to me, I would also give my inputs on how I solve as well.
Meeting people that are good at the same event as you and who have experience is it's always fun. It's a lot to learn.
Yeah, it's very helpful as well. You get to know more about this event. You get to know things you never knew that existed in your event until they tell you.
Yeah.
Because yeah, however fast you get, there is always someone faster. Unless you're probably Felix.
Yeah, but even then, like, there's a bunch of things other people use.
Yeah. That
he doesn't.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to brag, but then in Felix's cube skills, I had seen his 5x5 using Yao. And I'm going to sound very douche, but then I found a lot of flaws in his solves. And I mean, it's not nice when a person who's clearly slower than Felix tells him what he can do better. But then I had also seen a lot of flaws and improvements in his Yao solves and cube skills, Yao 5 solves.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, you don't have to be necessarily faster than someone to notice like imperfections in solves.
Yeah.
Like even for me, like sure I'm the fastest with Rue, whatever, but like there's a lot of people who are a lot slower than me who still like tell me of the mistakes I'm making. So
yeah,
basically any cubers who like the same event and are decently good at it, we can help each other.
Yeah, I mean it's fine because the person who's giving the tips and the person who's taking the tips are not going to take it into heart. But then others probably you might get some comments saying, I mean it's not normal. But then there are always trolls who would be like, I mean if you think about it, there are always trolls who are going to comment on your speed and his speed and they give you a comparison.
Yeah,
because I faced
like,
a lot.
He said do it this way. The other person said do it that way. The other person's faster. Yeah. Why don't you believe him? No, just like consider both. Do whichever works better for you.
Exactly. I mean, to be frank, I have faced a lot of trolls over the years. I mean, not over the years, but then in the last 2 years, I've been facing a lot of trolls. But I mean, I've handled it pretty well. Like, I usually don't do anything about them. I just
that's good. It's best to like ignore or delete comments if it's like really bad.
I just say thank you and give them a smiley.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, and then Max Young says he also wants to meet Lin Chen. Max, are you going to Asians too?
We'll if you're going to Asians, please do hit me up. Please do hit me up.
Yeah. Who else is going to Asians? I think that's it. So Asians, I'm assuming Asians would be the only big comp you're going to this year, not like Euros or Nats.
No, not this year. But then the thing was, I was actually going to come to Worlds last year, and then there was a lot of problems which came up. And then since in India, the 10th grade is a pretty big part of your education. my parents decided that they would compensate it by taking me to Worlds next year.
Okay, and
Like
then it's just doing
we
like
were
a
everything,
general.
yeah, everything was ready. I was pretty much ready. Plus, I was almost actually ready. We were ready to book the tickets, but then we found out that if I compromise on 10th and if I don't score well, there's a very high chance I won't get the stream I want in future. So they said, just work it out and do your best this year, and after that you can focus on whatever you can give your full time to cubing.
All right, that's cool. Okay, makes
Yeah,
sense. Good to like
yeah.
secure a good future first, and then
Yeah, and but I mean it was not like I was against the idea. Means once they sat me down and explained the situation properly, I also agreed with what they were saying because if I'm only there's no guarantee that cubing is going to give me a stable future in the
yeah, obviously.
stable. Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop as well. It's my best hobby right now, but I can't guarantee myself a future with this. If you think about it pretty rationally.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's the same. That's the same for like most people.
Yeah, which is also one reason why a lot of old school cubers have started, I mean not stopped, but then they're dying down. Like even in India, a lot of the fast cubers have just completely stopped cubing due to college or work.
Yeah, life basically takes over after a certain
Yeah,
point.
yeah, and I really hope that doesn't happen to me because I would not want to say that, but I'm really dedicated towards my cubing career.
Yeah, same. But like what I've noticed as a trend is most people they do get most of their improvement in high school, and then they'll maybe continue to be in their prime for a couple of years. They won't improve as much in university just because of less time to practice, but they'll still be doing well, going to competitions, involved in the community. But then after that, I think there's more of a transition to just being like more helping with organizing and less focus on speed cubing once they have less time to practice.
Yeah, yeah, that's I mean that's not a problem if you think
Yeah.
about it.
Like I think I'd just
But
be fine with just still being involved in the community once I'm like
yeah, yeah.
irrelevant and don't have time to practice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, thing is, even if my speed dies down, at least let me. I mean, I would want to contribute to the community to make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Max said he's not going to Asians, so that's
Oh,
unfortunate.
okay. We will meet once though for sure.
Eventually, everyone's
Yeah.
gonna meet eventually.
Yeah.
World's 2019. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah. Worlds 2019. Please make it a point to attend. That'll be my first Worlds, so let's make it a good one.
Yeah. What's your prediction for country?
As in,
Yeah. No, for Worlds.
probably 3 by 3 is going to be between Nam, Felix,
Oh no,
and
not
Max.
for who's gonna win. Like the country.
Uh,
Like
as in,
like where it's gonna be held.
Oh, I think it's going to be held in some. It's in an Asian country because Worlds 2013 was in US. It was where was it? I think it was in Las Vegas. I'm not sure.
2013 was Las Vegas.
Yeah, 2015 was Brazil.
Yeah.
2017 was Paris. So I have a very strong feeling 2019 will be in either it's going to be in Australia or it's going to be in Asia.
No, most people say it's impossible to be in Australia.
Yeah, because if you think about it, so far it's happened in three different continents. The last
2011
few,
was Asia, wasn't it?
oh yeah, 2011 was Thailand.
Ah, okay.
Oh
That might
yeah,
add
it
a
can. Yeah,
like.
yeah. It's
I think there
probably
was
it's probably
there was a poll in Cubics Friends, and most people think it's either in like Japan or South Korea.
Oh, I'm placing my bets on Australia for World 2019.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I guess so. I mean, let's not jinx anything.
All right. I guess. Uh, when was it announced last time? I think maybe August, September. We'll know.
I mean, I don't remember. I remember in
I'm pretty sure
January.
it was August. It was announced last time.
I'm
August
not sure.
2016.
Oh, I'm not sure, but I do know I got the hype of Worlds in January, and I had to let it go in probably May or June.
Ooh. Okay.
Mm.
So now I think we've been streaming for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
So let's maybe you should do some like solves. Maybe a five.
sure, sure.
I mean, I would have you do like a 5, 6, 7 relay, but your sixes are broken.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a five. I'll just do a warm up solve right now.
Okay.
You
Max
can
says, I hope it
probably.
comes back to Canada/USA soon.
Uh,
That's a possibility. You never know.
let's hope.
I
Let's
guess it
hope for
just
the best.
depends on where they feel like, what countries
Yeah.
feel like applying and which one gets picked.
This is going to be a bad solve. This is going to be a really bad solve.
Okay, you're picking up now.
Yeah. Oh no, this is going to be a pathetic solve. No, dude, this was extremely bad.
Okay.
This was not even a warm up, dude. This was so bad. Oh my god, that's not what I
Yeah,
consider.
you got a lock up. You got like a cube drop. You like fumbled the cube 3 times.
Yeah, this is my first solve of the day. I mean, this is my first time solve of the day because today I had no time to cube. I was practically outside until like 3 hours ago.
Oh wow.
Okay, we'll do another solve just so I can redeem the fact that I'm not this bad in 5x5 or 6x6. Hold on, solve. Oh, I will do another one. I was at least better. That was a oh, it's a dinner.
What was it though?
That was a 57.
Okay, a little better.
Oh, this is so bad. No, this is also bad. Like, trust me, it gets better. Like, please don't leave. Like, please don't lose hope on me, please. We'll do another solve. We'll do one more solve. Or do you want to do a solve as well?
No, I'll just watch you.
Okay. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stop the solve because I didn't finish my first sentence. Okay. I don't know. Please, like, trust me, I'm not slow. Like, please don't lose hope on me. Wait. One more solve. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. We'll do one more solve.
Okay.
Uh, 59.
All right.
Wait, I think I'm gonna change my angle bit. I have a better idea.
Okay.
It's gonna be better. Yeah, this is going to be better. Yeah, this is definitely going to be better. Okay, can you see anything? This should, yeah, this angle is pretty nice. I'll do another solve. This should be
All right.
better.
So how about we'll have you do one more solve, and then after that, I guess we'll end the stream.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Okay. That's better. It's 52.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good solve to end the stream on. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you, Anish, for being on the stream. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think we
Thank
had
you
some.
for inviting me.
You're welcome. So thanks to
Yeah.
all the viewers and anyone who's left. Make sure to check out Anish's channel and YouTube and Instagram, links in the description. And stay tuned next week for some 3x3 stuff.
Okay. Cheers.
Bye.